Funding for DNews has been provided by the Cal and Lucille Rudman Institute for Entertainment Industry Studies.
Coming up, Pixar, the voice of the Sixers, and the fifth Beatle, on this episode of DNews.
Welcome to DNews. I'm John LaRussa. We start with a story about the man known to many as the fifth Beatle.
Author Vivek Tiwari recently visited Drexel's campus. Tiwari has written a powerful and graphic book called The Fifth Beatle about the impact of Brian Epstein.
And I think it's a fascinating story to see how he took this rough and tumble band from Liverpool who were smoking on stage, drinking on stage, totally unprofessional, cleaned them up, taught them how to be professional, got them a record deal, basically engineered Beatlemania. He was a true visionary, he really was. But Brian, from the very early days, said the Beatles are going to be bigger than Elvis, and they're going to elevate pop music into an art form. Prior to the Beatles, a British band had never made an impact in the United States.
Brian Epstein was responsible for iconic Beatles haircuts and suits that helped launch the small Liverpool band to superstardom.
You know, people told him, that's insane, you're insane, and people like you don't do things like that. And those were his dreams. And he chased them with passion and persistence, and the world got the Beatles.
Epstein's underdog story has inspired Mr. Tiwari to pursue his own dreams. Now he speaks to students about pursuing theirs.
And if you have huge passion for that, if you're doing something that you love, there really are no such things as potholes or obstacles. The heart of Brian's story is that no dream is too impossible and no person too unlikely to realize that dream.
From Hey Jude to All You Need Is Love, the Beatles are a large part of music history, and Vivek Tiwari is doing his part to keep another chapter of their story alive. For DNews, I'm David Tesler.
Drexel also welcomed Pixar animator Matt Nolte. He was on campus to speak about his work on The Good Dinosaur.
LeBeau Auditorium has never been filled with more aspiring animators and Westfall students. The reason? Matt Nolte, director of character design for Pixar, was in the house speaking about his unique new Disney Pixar movie, The Good Dinosaur.
What makes Good Dinosaur different is, I think, for me, just watching it, is that it's a quieter movie, meaning there's not as much dialogue. There's definitely as much humor and action, but it's done kind of in a visual way. You watch these characters feel the emotions or perform a joke or something that's funny, and you're not necessarily being told what to feel, but you observe it by just watching it.
Nolte sculpted his designs by working closely with director Peter Sohn.
My job is to help the director design the characters, and that happens by really just putting up a bunch of ideas in front of him, and then he approves them eventually.
Spot! 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 Come here, Spot, come here!
The Drexel students we spoke with were impressed.
The presentation was really great. As an animation and visual effects major, it has a lot of interesting information that I feel I'll be able to use later.
Nolte also offered sage advice on getting your foot in the door.
Obviously, drawing's fun, so hopefully they're drawing all the time. Draw from your life experience, from your own observations, and don't try and draw what you think the industry wants to see, but draw what you want others to see. And then secondly, get advice from people in the industry. Like if you want to be, I want to get that job that person has, track those people down, email them or call them, and they will find that they're willing to help and look at the work and say, give advice at what the next step would be, because people did that for me. So those are like the two main things I would say.
For DNews, I'm Aisha Nimasham.
The voice of the 76ers could be heard loud and clear at the urban screening room. Mark Zumoff was in the house.
Andre Iguodala has done it again! 2.2 to go. The Sixers lead by a bucket.
Mark Zumoff has been the voice of the Sixers TV broadcast for 22 years. He unofficially began training for the job when he was a young boy in Northeast Philly, listening to disc jockeys on AM radio.
So I was fascinated by that, and I went home and I started doing the same thing on my record player, and I was a sports fan as well, so what I then began to do was turn the sound down to the TV and do games into a tape recorder. So I would put the TV on channel 8. When you put a television on channel 8, it would be static, it would be snow, and to me it sounded like a crowd. So I would literally sit there, nerd as I was, and I would make up a game and I would say, here's Greer, down low to Chamberlain, hook shot, good!
At age 11, Zumoff got to see the Sixers win an NBA championship title. It was also the time when he got to listen to iconic broadcasters like the late Bill Campbell and hockey's Mike Emmerich.
A gentleman who I know that you know very well, or knew very well, Bill Branson, who was one of the voices on KOW All News Radio back in the 70s and 80s. And those three, and Gene Hart used to do the Flyers games. Those four are on my personal Mount Rushmore.
Nowadays, Zumoff gets his motivation from a different source: fans who have had to endure quite a few losing seasons.
One thing I try to remind myself about all the time is that there are new fans and new people tuning in every night. So given that, I don't know who is going to get that first impression from me. So it's incumbent upon me to introduce those people to the game, to make them fans, to make them feel like they're being informed and entertained all at once. And I don't ever take anything for granted.
One thing's for sure with this job: thousands of miles of travel each basketball season, making it hard to establish a routine. It's a difficult job, but it's one he loves.
I often say to people there are more U.S. senators than people who do what I do. There's only 30 NBA teams, there's 100 U.S. senators.
He keeps close contact with the players on the team, many of whom he says can be wary of the media. In order to stay relevant, he employs his secret weapons.
The players right now, they're my kids' age. So, I go in there and I remember that, hey, I'm like talking to my kids. I try to find some commonality. So, I'll let my kids turn me on to some Meek Mill or some Future or something like that. And I'll go into the locker room and I'll say, hey, look at me, I'm bold, I'm Jewish, I'm white, and I'm 60, but I got Meek Mill on my iPhone.
Zumoff's message to the students: work hard and believe in your abilities. Here's to 22 more years on the mic for the voice of the Sixers. For DNews, I'm Elizabeth Mock.
Philadelphia used to be home to a slew of breweries. Now, a local brewer is carrying on the proud tradition.
Based in what was once a skate park in an abandoned warehouse, Yards Brewing Company is as Philadelphia as they come.
Yards Brewery was started in 1994 by Tom Kehoe. We moved here in his brewery to about 2007. Philadelphia's water is actually very perfect for our Yards beer. It actually helps make our product even better, because depending on what body of water you're around, it really affects the flavor of your beer. So our Philadelphia water is perfect for it.
But it isn't just the beer that makes this Northern Liberties brewery so unique.
I would like to think that we stand out mostly because our self-sustainability, and we try to stay local as possible. We use wind power. We're heavy in recycling. We want to support local businesses as well as the local bars around here. Ladies and gentlemen of Yards, if you have a green chip, this is your tour. If you have a glass cup, please see the bartender for a plastic one.
As part of their commitment to the local community, Yards offers free tours of their brewery on Saturdays and Sundays from 12 to 4 p.m.
Make a left, table full of beer, start drinking.
Cameraman Jeff Sindrick and I got a chance to tag along.
All right, so feel free to grab beers while I'm talking. You will not interrupt me whatsoever. So these two beers here are #1 sellers. These are our heavy hitters at Yards. You cannot go anywhere in Philadelphia without finding these on tap. These are overall. The brewery tour, we do a little background of Yards and its history. We also do the brewing process from beginning to ending and make it entertaining and informative as possible. Depending on what beer we make is what we're going to throw in there for flavor. So we have the pale ale. We'll throw in grapefruits, Our love style, we'll throw in like chocolate or coffee.
This fun conversational tour will take you from grain to glass, leaving you far wiser in the art of beer and perhaps also a little tipsy.
Let's get you out of here so we can watch the Eagles and drink some beer. Thank you, guys.
So whether you love beer or just have an hour to kill, come have a drink on Yards and learn a little bit in the process. For DNews, I'm John LaRusso. A legendary record producer and engineer has been operating somewhat under the radar in South Philly. Turns out he has a Drexel connection, too.
My name is Jim Salomon. We're here at Cambridge Sound Studios in South Philadelphia, and this is my facility.
Salomon, a Grammy-nominated music producer, has produced, mixed, engineered, and performed on a number of classic gold and platinum records that still resonate today.
You know, as the 80s progressed, to do studio work in Philadelphia meant doing R&B music. You know, the OJs and Levert and Patti LaBelle and the Rude Boys, Sheena Easton, Grover Washington. I did several albums. The Daz Band, I mean, the Fatback Band. This is John Lennon. And this is me over here.
He says his hook for breaking in as an engineer in the early 80s was the purchase of one of the first ever electronic drums, the Linn drum.
Nobody knew what it was. In the beginning, it was get that guy that owns the Linn drum. But then eventually it's just get that guy. And he'll tell us what's best for the song. So,
in recent years, Mr. Salomon has been operating his own multi-room, state-of-the-art recording facility. Even in his early 60s, he's still going strong.
I love it. It's I don't know anything else, you know, really. I mean, it keeps you young, and you're dealing with people and their dreams and their vision, and I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I'm still doing this. You know, it's fun.
And he stays young by bringing in student interns.
We do the co-op with the school. So when they want to send kids over for an internship, we do that, you know, with Temple and with Drexel.
I was fortunate enough to be one of those interns, and I'll never forget this Philadelphia legend. For DNews, I'm Nate Jones.
Back on campus. Professional actors joined Drexel students for a stage production where rabbits have some hair-raising adventures.
People pretending to be rabbits? No, this is not a mental institution. I'm here at Drexel's Mandel Theatre, where students are collaborating with industry professionals to bring about a theatre production of Watership Down. Through Drexel's Mandel Professionals in Residence project, students partner up with a local theatre organization to bring a new and refreshing production every year.
Basically, you got students and professional actors working together. I think it's great. You know, in this case, it's run through Simpatico Theater Project, and you know, it's been an interesting experience working with professional actors.
Actors from Simpatico, based in Philly, also didn't hold back their praise.
There is kind of an excitement and a newness to people who haven't done it as much, a lack of jadedness, that it feels special and like an important part of life that is kind of refreshing to be around.
They bring a different energy, you know. When I'm working with people that have been in the business like 20, 30 years, you know, they're like your hard-edged actors, and that's cool, and they have so many different stories and stuff, but the younger kids, their stories are completely different. They have a lot of energy. I think I enjoyed working with them a lot.
That energy was much needed. Watership Down is packed with various fight sequences and features rabbits with personality and gritty character, all the while doing away with rabbit ears and fluffy tails. But the standout element of the production would have to be the use of shadow puppetry.
So the world of man and the world of the bunny mythos happen in Shadow World. And we have several different light sources that we use. We have these old school overhead projectors, and this is so we can make it come up nice and slowly and turn off. And we have very simple shadow puppets for these overhead sequences. Now we have one other component, which is sort of the bunny's underworld. I always think about it, Odysseus going into Hades, but the black rabbit of inlay. And what does that world look like? And for that world, we use mag lights with a texture on it. And that texture gives us sort of a feeling of another world.
With rabbits dominating every aspect of the show, I had to ask, how did the students feel playing the long-eared animals?
As far as playing a rabbit goes, I've never done anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough on the lower body, honestly.
Next year, Drexel will partner up with a new organization. But for now, it looks like these students get to learn the art of theater and skip the gym. For DNews, I'm Sanko Vanigasekara.
A recent exercise regimen called BARRE, B-A-R-R-E, is gaining momentum around the country and at the rec center.
It's called BARRE, B-A-R-R-E, and it's become quite the workout sensation.
BARRE is a combination of ballet, Pilates, and strength training. It's based off of ballet because we use the bar for support, and it's about balancing the muscles, toning the muscles, and also stretching is a big component, lengthening the muscles.
I noticed a lot of studios in the city were starting BARRE, and a lot of other gyms were starting it, so I thought, why not?
Well, one reason why not could be how tough it can be for the uninitiated.
I have never done ballet ever, and I am used to doing things where you turn your feet up when you're running or when you're squatting, and with ballet you always point your toes, so that was very difficult coordination wise, trying to point your toes all the time and stand up on your toes.
And for those who do have ballet experience, still tough but with a solid upside.
I have about 15 years of ballet experience, and it's a nice way to complement BARRE.
I'm certified in mat and mixed equipment, and it's actually very helpful in BARRE because a lot of the ab series is based off of Pilates. So it's helpful in that. I was drawn to BARRE because I did ballet my whole life, and I was curious to see how similar it was.
BARRE does appear to resemble Pilates in its concentration on building core strength, but there are differences.
And I've taken it a few times, I've evaluated, but it's very different because you can do anything from mind body to just a yoga class on the mat. Yes, you're working on your core and you're working on your flexibility, but BARRE works really a lot of muscles that most classes don't work, which is kind of a neat thing.
I'm used to doing weights or cardio, and I think BARRE is a whole different genre in itself. It incorporates things I've never done before, like ballet and just more isolated moves.
BARRE has high repetitions, so typically you'll be lasting in an exercise much longer than you would in any other class. We do high repetitions and small ranges of motion. So it's tiny little micro movements and it's sustained. It's a little isometric, so it's not so drastic on the joints. It's a little bit gentler.
If you're interested, the Rec Center has BARRE classes Tuesdays at 5 p.m., Thursdays at noon and 6:10. For DNews, I'm Jessa Eskin.
At the beginning of the semester, a Drexel area crime wave was causing huge concerns. Reporter David Tesler went to the Drexel police for answers.
The end of summer and beginning of fall saw a rapid rise in crime around the Drexel campus, including a threat to a university in Philadelphia. In light of that, I'm here at the Drexel Police Headquarters to spotlight the steps taken to ensure the safety of students, faculty, and staff. Almost all of the student-directed crimes, mostly robberies, happened off campus and in Drexel's surrounding neighborhoods.
And once we started increasing the police presence and heat on the street, as it turned out, they started to subside a little bit. Philadelphia police were able to develop some suspects, and Philadelphia police did make an arrest.
And in September, when the FBI got wind of what was called a threat to a Philadelphia college, Drexel police and campus security jumped in.
So not only are we in mutual aid with the police departments here, but we also routinely work with the FBI and the Secret Service, Homeland Security, the Office of Emergency Management.
During the threat, Drexel police helped enforce school security measures.
Then the president convenes a meeting with his crisis management team, and the decision coming out is we're going to lock the buildings, we're going to increase patrol, both security officers, and we're going to increase police presence throughout the week as the FBI continues to vet this and investigate it. Whether it was a hoax or not, we don't take it as a hoax.
Fortunately, nothing came of the threat. While the Drexel police are doing all they can to ensure student safety, it's imperative to take safety precautions of your own. Every student is encouraged to stay alert and report any suspicious activity.
See something, say something. If you see something that looks odd, is not normal, you should be calling the dispatch center.
Chief Bear has more safety tips.
So if I could get a message out, it's if you're leaving on break, take all your valuable electronics or make sure that your house, your apartment is secured tightly. We really recommend that bicycles use those hefty U-locks. Do not walk alone. We really encourage nobody to walk alone. When you're walking, walk with the mission. Call for an escort. Always. If you are going somewhere and it's late at night, escorts go all the way out into Mantua and Powelton, so call ahead.
Below is the number you can call for any walking escorts. Don't forget to put it in your phone as well as download the Drexel Guardian app. For DNews, I'm David Tesler.
And finally tonight, some Drexel food trucks have become institutions in their own right. But there could be trouble ahead.
It may look like a big yellow block on wheels, but inside the Cheesy Wagon food truck, owner Mike Sullivan is serving up cheesy goodness to Drexel students. The ex-Marine built the truck himself. He says cheesing is pleasing.
The reason I chose cheese is because of the versatility of cheese. It has longevity, and there's a lot of things that I can make with cheese.
From sandwiches to burgers to his signature chicken quesadilla with a seasoned tortilla, Sullivan has wowed the Drexel student body, and Zagat has recognized him too.
It's one of the most prestigious magazines and ratings that you can get.
I'm the kind of customer that's come here and gotten a grilled cheese and then another day come back for a burger.
But Cheesy Wagon and other food trucks on campus may not be pleasing the city of Philadelphia. In June, a city ordinance was issued with the intention of limiting the trucks to 2 campus locations.
What they're doing is uprooting. I've been here 3 years. My customers know me to be here. If they took me and they put me at 32nd Street, my business is going to drop in half.
The ordinance has yet to pass, and it remains to be seen if Sullivan's business would be affected. For now, he says he'll fight to keep Cheesy Wagon at 33rd and Market Streets in front of the law school. And with an ever-increasing volume of food trucks, he'd like to see his city government pare down its list of prohibited streets. For DNews, I'm Martin White II.
That's a wrap for this episode of DNews. Remember to look for us online and now in the Triangle. I'm John LaRussa, and thanks for watching.
The production of DNews has been made possible by the generous support of the Cal and Lucille Rudman Institute for Entertainment Industry Studies and the Antoinette Westphal College of Media Arts and Design.